Hello, everyone. This is Dr. J, host of the Sexuality Space. Welcome, my virtual assistant, my co host, and my all around I can do everything. Misha Elliott is behind the scenes organizing our business for today. Let me get our speaker up. Here we go. And for those of you listening to the replay, the Sexuality Space officially begins its third year today. We are live every Wednesday at our new time, 3 p.m. Eastern, on Twitter. So here I have created a sex positive community where we talk about various sex topics. We meet CEOs of sex companies. We talk to sex educators and researchers and writers. And I want you to see me doing my work in the daylight as I integrate sexuality into everyday life. I see some of my usuals that come in here. Greetings to you all. As a reminder, this is a recorded space, which will live on the Twitter timeline, is repurposed on my website, on my FlowGen playlist, and on my YouTube channel. Please note that the space is equipped with its own chat feature in the bottom right corner. You can ask questions there as the space goes on, or DM Misha or me with questions. Today, I'm excited to introduce Michelle Melville Cashin of the Sexual Health Alliance. She's the Community Development Director. And if the Sexual Health Alliance sounds familiar to you, we had their founder, Heather McPherson, here when we talked about Netflix, How to Build a Sex Room, and she talked about the Respark Pleasure Rooms. So, hi, Michelle. It's great to have you here with us today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be
Well,
here.
good. Well, typically, Misha is a silent co host, but I happen to know today she doesn't have to be silent. Hey, Mish.
Hey,
Glad to have you joining us.
I am actually working on getting a chair set up in the sun.
Oh, well, that's perfect. You'll be sending you the Florida sun while you enjoy today, where you can talk with us. So I'm really excited. So, one of the things that I typically do, Michelle, is to just, this will be an easy, laid back conversation. One of the things that I have really worked on here is that, I have a community that is very respectful and genuine and authentic in what we're doing here. So, people who might come up to speak and be people that I know and that sort of thing. So I think you should feel pretty safe in that world. But I thought that we would just, jump in with the question that I generally ask everyone. But how in the world did you land in the sexuality field?
That's such a good question. I love it. All right. So, I've always kind of been interested in sexuality, and I've always been like the sex friend. Like if you have a question, you can ask Michelle. Like I know a lot. And so, my career has taken a lot of twists and turns. I started out in the counseling field. Then I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. Then I was an online educator. And then I was a writer and a marketer, and I was looking for a new position, and I kept seeing the term sex tech on LinkedIn. And I was like, what in the world is sex tech? And so I started learning about sex tech, and I started a podcast, and I started making connections with all of these really cool people in the sexuality industry. And so through my connections, I had found this position at Sexual Health Alliance, and I got connected with them. And so ever since then, it's just been a deep dive into the sexuality industry, and it's been amazing.
So cool. So, how long have you been doing this particular job?
So I just started with Sexual Health Alliance in January. So I'm still pretty new with them.
I love it. I love it. Well, they are such a great organization, and
Yes.
everything that they do is just, stellar in the direction. And I don't know what you know about me, but it's been 47 years since I've been in the field specifically in sexuality. And I was thinking, I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody here that David Lay said yes, he's gonna come speak on the space with us. And he and I were laughing because I was in practice in 1982 when Patrick Carnes set up Yes Sex Addiction Model. And I knew in my gut that everything about that was not right. And so it's been really interesting to watch that evolution of what has gone on with that over time. So I know that you're going to have fun. I know that it's going to be a great experience. And I love how you said you've been meeting with sex tech people, through LinkedIn. And I'm curious at this point, what is the favorite thing about what it is that you're doing?
Oh my gosh, my favorite thing is just meeting people. So, meeting people who are in the sexuality industry that are so sex positive, whether it's people I interview for my podcast or people that I meet through Sexual Health Alliance. I do a lot of communication with potential students and people who are interested in collaborating with us. And I just love talking to sex positive people.
Yeah, me too. That's like, how many of us are out there in the world? Can I count them on my hand? I'm hoping I can start counting them in many, many, many more places from that. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Sexual Health Alliance actually does and what their Sexceptional Education is all about?
Yes, definitely. So, we are a sexuality education institution. So, if you are interested in being certified as a sex therapist, a sexuality educator, a sexuality counselor, or a sex coach and consultant, we provide the education that you need to become ASECT certified. And for anybody who doesn't know what ASECT is, it's the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. So if you want to become ASEX certified and you need to get that education, you can come to Sexual Health Alliance, and we offer really great online self-paced programs. So I think that makes us unique in the way that we're so flexible. Like, you could be anywhere in the world, you could do your work at any time. And it's really amazing. So we have our main certification programs, and then we also offer some specialty programs, which are really unique and super cool. We offer a kink certification. So if anybody's interested in kink, Midori, she helps out with that. We offer a problem sexual behavior certification, and we also offer a consensual non-monogamy certification. So those are like shorter specialty education courses you can take with Sexual Health Alliance.
Is that separate from therapy kinds of things? So this would be stuff that someone who is interested in education specifically can do?
Yes. Well, so anybody can take our specialty courses. So if you're a sex therapist, a sex educator, a coach, and you just want to dive into that concept more, you're welcome to take one of our specialty courses.
Do you have to be one of those three categories to take your courses?
You don't. You can take our courses. You don't have to be a sex certified sex therapist to take a specialty course.
Well, you'll appreciate I have a new job title in all of the wonderful things that I do. I am a character sex coach. I'm
Oh,
working with authors to create accurate information and connections with their characters throughout their story, and taking a look that sexuality is actually with the character the second the story starts, and how to use that, in a more holistic way to make the story richer and deeper. So I'm loving this to think, well, I'll just go back and get a kink certification and a CNM certification and just add that to my character sex
yes.
coaching. My my husband laughs because he says, I'm finally glad that you're doing therapy work that you don't have to pay insurance. I don't think those characters are going to hurt you.
Right? I love that so much. So, one of my very favorite hobbies is reading what I call the smutty romance novels, the erotica romance. I've gotten so into that over the last year or so. And I love that you're working to create authentic characters. That makes the reading experience so much more rich and valuable. I love it.
And I really work that with the authors for the Rosie Wellness platform. And on the app, erotica is one of the things that's provided, and they just came out with their um, sex, let's see, sex satisfaction, sex life. I'm not sure what the title of it is, but their survey for 2023, and it was talking all about 60% of women in the survey are really having more desire, more arousal, and higher levels of sexual satisfaction by using that lovely erotic fiction and getting things going between our ears and translating that to the rest of our body. So, yes, I am with you on that. It is just too fun to be in that world.
Oh, it is. It's my favorite.
Well, when you think about, whatever your job trajectory is going to be and thinking about the work that you're doing, and up to this point, what do you think the most interesting project is that you've been putting time and attention to?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. With Sexual Health Alliance, like I do so many interesting things. I think one of the most interesting projects that I've done so far has to be being on our SAR, our Sexuality Attitude Reassessment. So through Sexual Health Alliance, we offer a 14-hour SAR, which is required by ASECT. So being a part of that was amazing. So Sexual Health Alliance does these awesome events, and you watch all different types of adult media and you talk about it with people, and it was just the most unique experience that I've ever had. So getting to be a part of that project and working on that was really cool.
Well, let me tell you, I am the OG. Back in 1980, our company, the Fleming Center, was one of the places where you would go for the SAR, for ASEC.
Oh
I will
yeah.
never forget my very first one. And then we traveled all over the country presenting the SAR to different places. It is one of my absolutely favorite things. And from a teaching and education standpoint, it wasn't just for the participants. We had so many great group facilitators, and to watch them grow and learn and get better at their craft in order to help people. It was an exciting time, and I love to see the evolution of how SAR has changed from the day that I did it to where it is today. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really cool experience, and I loved seeing the atmosphere that we created for everybody. Like we created such a safe and welcoming space. Like people were sharing very intimate details about their lives and photographs and things about themselves, and like I've never been in a space like that before where we immediately created this safe space and community, and it was just really fun to see all these professionals come together in that space.
Yeah, it's that part's really cool. And when you think about all of the different types of training, you just use that as that jumping off platform because it's that base level thing that therapists and educators and counselors do. And everything from that moment forward is based on that work. So I love the way you framed that in terms of what you create, what you set up so that everyone learns and grows in that direction. I didn't do a SAR, but I got to come to Austin and worked. What year was that? 2018, 2019. Justin Lay Miller, his book had just come out. And since I was doing so much fantasy work and writing, I couldn't wait to see him in person. And Heather and I had talked a lot. So I came out and it was a spectacular presentation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Heather McPherson, our owner, she just got back from study abroad with Dr. Justin Lay Miller, and they were in Amsterdam and Berlin, and like they look like they had a great time together.
Well, the three of us have laughed back and forth because I was standing in the exact same spot where they took that lovely picture of the big bowl of penises. I was there 1 week before them. And so it was
Oh my
just
gosh.
funny. Yeah, I know. For here I was, and then there they are. So we've laughed about a lot of things. So I'm curious for people who are making choices about who to use to provide them assistance in their rethinking or desire or whatever's going on for them. If you're thinking about how you're helping to train the professionals, what do you think the guiding principles of the Sexual Health Alliance uses in that process?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say we have to be one of the most inclusive organizations that I've seen. We hire professionals in different specialty areas to make sure that our curriculum is inclusive and positive. And that's something I think is really important because you want to make sure that you are receiving the most up to date information, and we find the experts. So we don't claim that one person in our organization is the best at everything, you know? So we, like if we're going to teach about kink, we find Midori to teach about kink, So we go out and seek out those experts in the field in their specialty areas to contribute to our curriculum and to host conferences with us, and to be a part of our educational services.
Well, I know I was over on LinkedIn and you were doing your audio presentation with David Lee. So tell us about his work, their work.
Oh yeah. So with David's wonderful. So he actually participates as one of the facilitators of our problem sexual behavior program. So that's one of the specialty certifications that you can get. And so this weekend, actually, we're having a conference. So if anybody wants to join in on the fun, David actually won't be there, but we're going to have Michael Vigorito, who's an author, and we've got Dr. Wendy Miller and Joshua Grubbs, and we're going to talk all about problem sexual behavior assessment and treatment. And actually, I'll be one of the administrators on the conference. So I will be there the entire weekend hanging out. If anybody has questions or needs anything, I'll just be there in the background. But yeah, so yeah, David takes part in facilitating that program, and he is just a wonderful asset to Sexual Health Alliance.
Well, tell me, where does your Sex Tech podcast fit with all of this?
Yeah. So my Sex Tech podcast, it's not a part of Sexual Health Alliance, but in a way, it kind of is in a way because it helps me connect to people. So before I even joined with Sexual Health Alliance, I made all these really wonderful contacts in the sexuality field, and just learning about how technology and sexuality come together has been so interesting because when I first started questioning what is sex tech, I was thinking like sex robots, maybe. Like, I don't know what this is going to be about. And so I just started finding people. I'm like, well, who knows about this? And so I've talked to people who have created sexuality apps, who have created sex toys, who run like sex toy businesses, who do things online on online platforms like sexuality copywriting. So I've just met all of these really cool people, and so I made these connections with people who can come in and facilitate and be part of Sexual Health Alliance in our upcoming conferences and things. So it does kind of all weave together at some point.
I know it's funny. Somebody asked me, why did you call this the sexuality space? And I said, well, space is in Twitter space. But the other thing is, sexuality has always been this wonderful broad umbrella that I do
Yeah.
work under. And, you think about that. And, I look at the evolution of my specific career, from teaching human sexuality in college to having a private practice doing consulting and all of the different things from community education at the hospital out in the community. It's almost like something about sexuality allows us to tap into different age groups,
Yeah.
different content areas. It's a little different because most people don't train in sexuality. And I hear this from the physicians in terms of, I don't know what to do. We got 1 hour of information on men and I didn't get anything on women. And
Mm.
who do I go to, out there in the world? And that was the reason that Lindsay Harper created the Rosie app. And many, many, many OBGYNs are now recommending that specific app to their clients. So she's really worked with the medical community. And so all of us, I think, that's why we're creating this great network where you and I can have this conversation and say, I have this whole list of people, you have this whole list of people, let's cross people up and, see what we can, pollinate in other directions and make sure that we're getting our communities the information that's going to be helpful and positive for them.
Yes, exactly. And I think we've reached this special time and space where this is becoming a movement. People want to know more about sexuality, especially female centered sexuality and sex positivity, in a shame free environment. And I never thought that I'd make so many connections on LinkedIn with people in the sexuality field. I thought like maybe I'd find like one or two people. Like I thought sexuality might or LinkedIn might be kind of prude. I might not find anybody on there who's like advertising they work in the sexuality field. But I have made contact with hundreds of people in the sexuality field, whether they're a therapist or they run like a business company, like an app or a platform. And it's just so cool to connect with these people who are all sex positive. I love it.
Oh, that warms my heart. I'm getting all excited just sitting here. So, are you somebody who might be doing a book in the future?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I love books. I love reading. I love writing. I don't know if I'll ever do a book. That would be like a dream for like down the road in the future.
Well, let me tell you, when the bug bites you, you just have to get out of the way and let it do its thing. I have last October, I went to the mountains for a big trip of relaxation, and I got this idea of something I had to do. And within 2 months, I had a finished product, which is Purple Sex cards, a reflection deck for women. And it's going to go hand in hand with the Sexual Wellness Journal that I have coming out August 15th from Orange Blossom Publishing. And it's just fascinating to see what's what. And this week I have been working to make the cards all digital. This company and I connected, and so now people can have their cards on their phone, and it's really exciting to see how all this is. But it's like the idea says, move away from everything else and pay attention to me. This is what you have to do now. So I bet something like that's going to happen with you into the future.
My husband always says that. My husband's like, because when I first started getting into romances and reading all the time, he's like, I'm predicting it now. At some point in the future, you're going to write some kind of romance book. He's like, I see it happening now. I'm like, I don't know what kind of book
Please
I'll write
do.
in the future, but.
Please do. Yes, please
Please
do.
do.
And Michelle, the other thing, which, never in a million years, it's not like I put this on when I grow up, this is what I want to do. But I have another book coming out called How to Write Scenes with Sex, a Writer's Sexuality Guide. And it's a total holistic direction with physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and 9 different topics of sexuality. And so I've managed to turn everything that I've done historically into a writing world, while at the same time, I'm still helping women stay empowered in their sexuality, creating space and ritual for that. So you never know, what directions it might go in.
I know, and
Um,
it ties together so well. Like I started getting more involved with like the romance reading community, and like the women in these communities are so empowered with their sexuality, and it's amazing to see. Like there's different groups on Facebook. One of them is called like the Smut Hood, and everybody talks about their favorite sexuality scenes like in different romance novels, and like and people ask a lot of questions in these groups. And so like they ask a lot of sexuality questions, and it's just really fun to see that intersection of it coming together with like education and creativity and fun. And it's just really cool.
that's right. So I have a question. This is going to be both for Michelle and Misha. Michelle, the Sex Tech Podcast does have a Twitter account.
Yes, I do have a Twitter account for
Because
sex.
someone is asking for me to post the link. So tell me what it is, and Misha will post it.
Yes, awesome. It's Sex Tech Talk. So I believe the handle, let me just double check my handle real quick for you guys, because I think it's just at Sex Tech Talk, but I want to be sure.
Subby, that was for you. I'm working it. I'm working it.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's at Sextech_talk.
Okay. So, Mish, if you can put that up on the nest over our heads, that would be appreciated. You got some great stuff in there. You put the weekend event that Michelle talked about is up there. The link for today, following FlowGen, so you can get all of this. Oh, Justin Lee Miller's book, you put that up there, and the CNM certification. See, I've got the best person in my life ever. She just reads my mind and things just show up right
Yes, that's
here.
amazing.
I know she's really good. So if you have any other jobs for her, just let us know. We're working on
I
all
would have
sorts of
found the
different.
podcast. I would have found the podcast on my own, but I was a little distracted putting up the chair outside.
That's okay. Enjoy that chair. I really want you to enjoy that chair.
But it's been added to the nest and replied in the chat, so enjoy.
Dun dun
Thank
dun. All
you.
right. All right. So how often do you do your podcast?
Okay, so before I started with Sexual Health Alliance, I was a freelancer. And so I did freelance social media marketing and writing. And so, like, my time was all over the place. So I did do a little bit more podcasting before I started on full time. So right now, I'm trying to get out an episode like once a month. Hopefully, I can create some more space because I have so many people I want to talk to. I have like this amazing list. And I've actually got one episode that I need to put up still that we recorded a few weeks ago. But yeah, so hopefully once a month is what I'll be doing for a while.
Wonderful. So my last question before we open it up to the crowd is,
Yeah.
what would you like to share that I haven't covered or I didn't think to ask you?
Oh my gosh, I know we covered so much. You know, let's see. Anything new with Sexual Health Alliance? We've got, so I told everybody about the conference that we've got coming up this weekend. We also have some new additions to our programming. So, one new addition is that for the sex therapist certification, you can now add in your supervision hours in the tuition, like as a package, and you actually save like a lot of money by doing this. I did the math the other day. You save like $1,700. It's outrageous. So you can.
Supervision is expensive. Yeah.
It is expensive, and so for anybody who just wants to like combine it all together, now we have this great package with a discount. So you'll find that on our website under the Sex Therapist Certification Program. And then another new thing that we offer now, we also offer couples and sex therapy certification, which a lot of people were asking for. So we came in and we delivered with that curriculum. So now, if you want to get certified in couples and sex therapy, you can do that at Sexual Health Alliance.
So I'm curious, how often would you say programs are live? Or is it all
Um,
digital?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a wonderful question. So most of the time, it's all self paced online. However, in your tuition, you get 3 Sexceptional weekends. So you're required to attend 3 weekends, but you get to choose. So you choose what topics you're interested in, what fits with your schedule. And those are online, but they're live. So we don't have any in person right now. We actually are scheduling one for the future. I think we just added that to our calendar. There's going to be something coming in the future in person. But right now all of our weekends are online. So that's the only live component is attending those weekends. But like I said, they're online still, but they're live. Everything else is self-paced.
Oh, I love it. So I have an off the wall question for you. Of
Yeah.
all the people that you have met and talked to, who do you think you fangirled the most with?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. Okay. Who did I fangirl the most with? Honestly, like every person I talk to, like for my podcast, I'm like, I can't believe you're talking to me. Like, I do it with everybody. I'm like, I'm like just this person who loves to talk to people. I'm like nobody like famous, and like I get these really cool people. Like recent, like one of the last people I had was Suki Dunham from Oh My Bod, and she talked to me and told me about like her story and starting her business, and I was like, I can't believe you're just talking to me, this is amazing.
That is so funny. I'm laughing if you're not reading the tweets. Mistress K, I always fangirl for you. This is so fun. And what you didn't hear me say is that David Lay's coming in June, so he's going to be on the space. We'll be having fun there. Wow, Michelle, we could just go on and on, but I'm going to open it up and invite people to
Yes.
request the mic, and we'll see, what other things we can get into. Mish, did you have anything you wanted to add since I can ask you questions and have you join in?
If you need a romance book coach, let me know.
Yes. Okay. So, side note, I just followed you. So this is not part of Sexual Health Alliance. I'll just say that this is my personal hobby. So I have a bookstagram, and it's called the Smut Shelf. And so
Oh,
Ooh.
I just followed you. So that's where I just post like what books I'm reading, like all kinds of stuff like that. So I just followed you on there.
well, you better be following me on there too, because both of us are in. That particular world.
Yes,
Um,
I'll find you on there too. So that's
so
me.
what book are you reading right now that you're enthralled with?
Okay, so last night the library puts me on a deadline and it stresses me out. The library's like, "You have 2 more days to finish this book," and I'm like, "But I have other stuff to do. I really
Don't
want to
you
finish it."
love that? Don't you love that? And you can't renew it because there are other people waiting.
I
I love it
know.
when I get that other people are waiting to read like four other people are waiting to read this book. I haven't even started it yet.
I know. It makes you feel guilty too. You're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, other people that are waiting. I need to hurry, but I have other things to do." So last night I made a commitment. I'm like, oh gosh, I got 2 days left. So I finished Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert, part of the Dark Olympus series. I love that series by her. So I just finished that last night.
Mish, isn't that one of your faves?
Yes, I was actually reading, or not, well, listening to Perfect Match by Katie Roberts through the library, which was really hot.
Ooh, yes. I have the court. What is it? The Court of the Vampire Queen. One of the new ones that came out by her. I just ordered a physical copy of that. I'm a traveler, so I try to do digital books, but there's just nothing quite like a physical book. So every once in a while, I treat myself and order like a physical book to read. So
Well, let me invite our crowd. Nobody has sent a single, I want to ask questions. I want to be on stage. Maybe, this fangirling thing,
I I did invite all of our regulars up.
they must be in interesting places that they can't chat with us today. So, what do you think? I mean, in terms of the Sexual Health Alliance adding new things, um, is it going to continue to be an online presence? And I know Respark is in different places across the U.S. Do those
yeah.
integrate now?
You know, so Respark Therapy is our sister company. They're both owned by Heather McPherson. And so a lot of the Respark therapists have gotten their education at Sexual Health Alliance, which is really cool. So, like, we know that they've gotten one of the best educations out there in sexuality. And so, in that way, I'm trying to think if we're still going to do we're going to keep doing our online events. Of course, all of our coursework is still going to be online. Like even after, everything's cleared out with the pandemic, hopefully in the future, like everybody will be doing in-person stuff again. But we're still going to have all of our online programming just because it's so accessible to people. Because we're busy, people have full-time jobs, they have families, they've got all kinds of stuff to do. And having that accessible curriculum is so important to be able to do it when you have the time. So we're going to keep a lot of our stuff online, but we are going to be adding more of that those in-person events too.
Oh, I love it. That sounds great. Well, Mistress K, you joined us on stage. Hello, my friend.
Hello. I probably won't be able to stay long, but I did want to ask with the programs, do you guys do any kind of help with, I mean, you get the certifications and you get the education, but as far as like then taking that education and going out into the real world and recouping your investment and
Yeah.
like what are the services that you offer with that to help set that up?
That's a
Yeah.
great question. Whoo.
Yes, that is such a great question. So, one of the things that I love about Sexual Health Alliance is our community. I think we've got one of the best, most active communities out there. So, one of our biggest resources is going to be our Facebook group. So our Facebook group is private. It's only for SHA students, Sexual Health Alliance students. So whether you're a past student or a current student, I see a lot of networking happening within our Facebook group. It's really often people will post like, I need a sex educator or a sex therapist located in Florida. Like, is anybody licensed in Florida that can see a client? So in that way, you get like direct referrals because people like to make sure they're passing on a referral to somebody who is well educated in a sex positive curriculum. So we've got our Facebook group, which is great. During our conferences are not like your usual conference where you're just sitting there listening to a lecture. You actually get to interact with the presenters. You get to interact with the other students. We do networking like at the end where you like during the conference where you can share your social media accounts. You can share your LinkedIn or whatever you want to share, your email address, so you can make connections that way too. So we don't offer like a quote job placement program, but we do facilitate lots of opportunities for networking.
Well, just speaking for myself, this is actually an area that I'm really would love to kind of get into and transition in terms of career, but where people know me is in the lifestyle community and in this kind of Twitter space, and they know me through my lifestyle, kink scene name, and I'm not out in my community. So if I want to kind of create this as a vanilla, for lack of a better word, a vanilla career move, I have no reputation. I have no accreditation in the vanilla world. And there is a little bit of a risk when it comes to the areas of sex education that I want to move into by being an active kinkster, an active lifestyle participant. It is limiting to what I can do in the sex education space. So that's something that I'm wrestling with right now.
Right. It's like, is there a way to combine those two worlds, or would you just leave them separate and start from the very beginning?
Right. And that's where most of my kind of internal conflict and stuff is coming from. And I don't need to air my my conflict on this, but it was just, I'm wondering if you have come across that with any of your attendees before. People mostly just do you have people kind of stay in their zone, or is there any crossover, and how do people navigate that if there are?
Yeah, that is such a great question because I know there is some crossover. And people really do have to take care. I've seen this discussion happening within our Facebook group too, because people have to take care, like let's say they are out in the kink community and they know that one of their clients is going to be at a certain event, so they have to take care not to attend that event. Or if they do, what kind of boundaries are going to be in place ahead of time, so you do have to take those additional steps just to for confidentiality and for having those personal boundaries and professional boundaries in place ahead of time. So it really, there are some complications when there's that crossover between personal and professional. And I have seen people discuss this within the Facebook group. And that's what I've seen the most is people talking about establishing those plans and boundaries ahead of time so they're prepared when these situations come up.
Thank you for answering that. It's one of those kind of, I could chew your ear off all day, but I don't want to take up all the time or the air in the room for anybody else who has questions.
No, but totally. And like,
I was going to say, this is a valuable conversation, Mistress K, because a lot of people don't get to see you in this moment making process clarity decisions about what works great for you. How would you do this within your life? And it's the role modeling aspect of what we do in lives about sexuality all the time.
Well, I have a very good friend who is creating a kink space for education. And one of the things that she often talks about is you know, where you can often find out what your values is what's important to you, and that is where is the intersection between what you are interested in and what you are available for. And where those two circles overlapped, that's where you find out what's kind of really important to you and what speaks. And then you have to make sure that that aligns with your values. So that's where I'm kind of struggling, is to find, I know where I'm interested in, where's my availability, how does that align with my values, and then how can I take that out into the world. And it's a challenge. It's all of it is a
Mich-
challenge. And then there's
Michelle,
also my own kind of, there's my own issues of anxiety to unpack as well. So
Michelle, I'm hearing a very specific course to be offered.
Yes, like I love that. Like I think we could totally do like a seminar or something like like maybe not a full conference, maybe though, like about incorporating your personal life with professional life and just talking about all of this. This is so fascinating. I love it. And it's something that does come up a lot. You're not the only one who faces this. And it's, we at Sexual Health Alliance, I think we're different in that specifically our coach and consultant program is open to anyone. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and we get a lot of people in our program who are sex workers or have worked in sex work in the past. And we are so open to that because we believe that everyone can bring some knowledge to the table, and your experience is so valuable, so it doesn't matter to us that if you have a master's degree or a PhD, you still can be a very valuable sexuality coach. And so there is a lot of crossover that happens. And so I think that would be such an interesting topic to have a conference about. I would love that.
And you know what? I can contrast that in a different direction. In the state where I had my marriage and family therapy with my specialty sex therapy license, licensed by the state, their rules were so absolutely strict in terms of my client relationship stayed into perpetuity, which meant that stayed forever. So looking at how do you navigate boundaries and how do you do things when it's a different world than what other people might be doing. But again, it's that role modeling part. How can you help people navigate that for themselves so they'll be better able to help their clients navigate that as well?
Right, right.
So, Mistress K, do you have anything else that you wanted to throw out there?
no, other than just as a clarification, I really have no interest in doing sex therapy or sex coaching. It's the education part. It's like, I'm not going to tell you
Yeah.
what to do with your lives. I'm just going to present you with the information and then wish you the best of luck.
Yes, I love that. That's useful for so many people. Some people don't need a coach. They just need the information, and then it's their choice to do with it whatever they feel is necessary or fulfilling.
And that's why I've always supported the Plicit model, because in that education part, you start with the permission, and then the limited information is getting the facts in, dispelling the myths, and then where do you have those specific suggestions? Try going here, check out this thing, here's how this works. And pretty much most people can work within those three areas, and intensive therapy is something else, that goes on at a different point in time. But I love this. This is really, really cool. So nobody else has requested. Mish, what do I even think about this?
Maybe they're in spaces they can't speak, which is, my norm.
Well, I figured since you were not in your norm today that you might want to add some other things with our conversation today.
I've been absorbing all this wonderful stuff and looking for things to add to the nest. Is there anything that you would like from your tweets or other accounts associated with yours that you would like added to the nest, Michelle?
Ooh, and you've done such a good job of adding things. Like our biggest thing is going to be the conference this weekend that I want people to know about, but then also how to get to our main website. It's just sexualhealthalliance.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also wanted to mention too that anybody who has questions about Sexual Health Alliance, our programs, or anything, you can send us a DM and I'll message you. I'll email you from our admissions account, or if you want to just email us, I run the admissions email box like 90% of the time, so you'll probably get an email back from me. So it's admissions with an S at sexualhealthalliance.com. If you have questions or anything very specific. I do phone calls all the time with people. So if you have like something really specific you want to talk about, maybe you're not sure, like if you want to do one of our programs or which one you want to do, that's part of my job as the community development coordinator. I talk to people all the time about like their career path and what they want to do. So feel free to reach out. Don't be afraid.
And
That
now the
is,
website link is in the nest, or will
it
be shortly.
is. I love it. And I see that Ramon has taken to the stage with his hand raised. Go right ahead, my friend.
Hey there. So I've known about SHA for a number of years actually, and it's not an investment that aligns with where I'm going, but I am so impressed with the courses you've offered and how you've offered them in the past. So I wanted to let you know that. I think it's I'm a nerd, okay? And
I love it.
and so these things, if I had any interest in this, you would be one of my first choices because I love what you do and how you do it. And I love that Mistress K brought up, how do you put yourself out there in a parallel, effort, and handle the risk? Because there are some really good people out there. I'm not gonna, there's people, Dr. J, you and I both know that talk about these kinds of things, and they're not dealing exactly with the dichotomy here, but there are some great people already talking about it. So I think it is awesome that there are the number of books I see coming out, the number of women offering coaching services or related things like that are awesome. But yeah, I absolutely am glad Mistress Kate brought up this concept of, so how can I do this safely? Because that's a huge concern, more for women, of course, than men. So would certainly, I just want to echo that one.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That's so good to hear that. Like I had said earlier, I just started with Sexual Health Alliance back in January. And I have to say, I've been so impressed with the quality of what they offer and the people who they have come speak. I know we did have a conference, I think it was in March, with Jet Setting Jasmine. She works in the adult entertainment industry and she's a licensed counselor. And I know in her conference, she talked a lot about motherhood and like being a parent while working in the adult entertainment industry. And so she had a lot of good things to say there. But I really think it would be beneficial for us to have like a conference or a seminar or something on how to safely, provide education or provide counseling while being connected to the community that you're in your personal life.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
aliases can only get you so far. So I'm
Right.
really glad this got put on the table.
Definitely.
Thanks, Ramon. Mistress K, go ahead. And Mish, you can go after that.
Oh gosh, that was such a good question. I'm hoping it didn't completely derail my train of thought. I had it. God damn it. Oh, go to me should come back to me. I lost it. I had it and it just flew away.
Okay, we'll
No
do that.
worries. No
We'll do
worries.
that.
I have
Okay,
a question from the DMs. We're not sure if it's been discussed yet, but are you getting pushback from people about activities with Sexual Health Alliance, like given the environment in some places that is anti-sexual information? So online would be shadow banning, in the real world would be protesting, things like that. Like, what is your experience dealing with the public giving out this information? Hey, we like sex, we're sex positive.
That is actually that triggered my memory. I was actually going to say how many how often do you run into educators, and how often is this brought up in your Facebook group about people being shadow banned? Because I recently lost my lifestyle Instagram account, which for quote unquote violating the community standards and something about soliciting sex. I don't do that. I just have a lifestyle blog. Like, that's it. So I haven't, and it's in the appeals process. But for right now, my Instagram account is gone, and I know that has happened to other sex educators. I guess I'm wondering, like Misha was saying, what's been the blowback that you guys have experienced, and what is the support in line for that?
Definitely. And it's been such a learning process. And I know, like, our marketing department, like our social media coordinator, could probably speak a little more to this than I can. But I mean, I do have experience as a social media manager, just not for Sexual Health Alliance. But it is a real problem. And actually, there's an episode on my podcast where I talked to Athena Gale. She's actually going to be in our upcoming business seminar. She's going to be speaking about sex tech copywriting and writing for the sexuality industry, because this is a real problem. Like, if you'll notice, like on the graphic that we shared, like the E in sex, like has a little star, like we have to be careful with our graphics, with our copywriting, sharing things on social media, because we do not want our accounts getting shut down. Like, we've worked really hard to engage with people and build a community, and it is a serious problem, and a lot of our ads for conferences will get denied by Facebook because, of the word sexuality, or if we talk about porn or anything that they flag as indecent. So, I mean, this is a huge discussion, and it's been a problem for us on that side. So I want to talk to you on the personal side, though. Like, luckily, I have not experienced, I'm going to knock on wood, I have not experienced any backlash for like my Sex Tech Talk podcast. Like, oh wait, I take that back. Okay, one thing, one thing happened to me. I shared it on my personal Facebook page, an episode that I had done. And a neighbor from my parents' neighborhood, an older gentleman, was like, "Why do I want to know about sex tech?" And I'm like, well, you probably don't want to know about it. I was like, but somebody else might be interested in it, but other than that, like, I know Sexual Health Alliance, to my knowledge, we haven't received like any like protesting against us or anything like that. So I just wanted to mention that too.
Wow. And it's funny. And I think about what this has been like for 47 years and looking at the pendulum swing. And when I started into this, social media didn't even exist. So, the evolution of all of the different things that you now have to work with, contend with, makes it an interesting process. But you know what? I've continued to keep my head up. I've continued to work with that. This is who I am. How can we bring that forward? I don't know if you've noticed that I've done this month self-pleasure challenge, supporting our wonderful Surgeon General from 1994 who got fired for talking about masturbation. And I've been waiting to see whether the graphics that I've put together for this particular challenge are going to be addressed. And they haven't been. Nobody said a word about anything. So I'm going to keep moving forward and seeing how that goes. So we're in the last little bit. Michelle, is there anything that you want to say to kind of tie things up for us?
Yeah. So I just want to remind you guys that you can reach out to me if you have questions about Sexual Health Alliance. You can reach out to us on our social media or by email. I'm just so happy to see this sex positive community coming together, and it really makes me happy to see it on so many different platforms. Like, on LinkedIn, I'm so surprised all the time with people and the content they're able to post and share about sexuality. It's amazing. And like here on Twitter, it's so cool to see spaces like this exist. So I'm so glad you hosted this event. This has been really wonderful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Mistress Kay or Ramon, anything you want to tie up for today?
No, thank you. This
No,
was awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Just going to continue to voice my support for online education because it's not always accessible, and having that accessibility is really paramount.
I love it. You're so right about that. So, Michelle, yay! Keep doing what
Yeah.
you're doing in that world. That's absolutely specific. Mish, you got anything you would like to sum up now that you get to have more time talking today?
I look forward to your romance book in the future.
Ah! Oh my gosh, I have so many ideas in my head. We'll just see if they come to fruition.
That's
Oh,
where
I
it starts.
love it.
That's
Yeah,
where it
that is
starts.
where it starts.
And then you
Well,
get addicted.
Right.
that's That's the truth. And then you can't put it down, and everything you do is all about writing, writing, writing. But anyway, well, Michelle, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you for everyone who's been in today and the speakers on the stage. And of course, my lovely co host, she takes care of everything. Please follow all the speakers and share the love of what you're doing, in the sex positive community. You can subscribe to my newsletter and the YouTube channel. I have two things that I want to tell you. Tomorrow, Ramon and I will be on Purple Sex and Erotic Whims on the Moan app, talking about erotica and writing, and our focal point is going to be settings. So I think that ought to be kind of interesting in direction. Next week in the sexuality space, we will be joined by the Slut Sisters TM, an embodied community of sexually liberated, unashamed, transformed, femme identifying sisters supporting one another's unique sexual empowerment. So I'm really excited to have them come on, Annie and Scarlett. So that'll be a really cool event next week. And that will be 1 week from today at our new time, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And the minute that this is done, Michelle, just so you know, there will be a replay that is attached to the URL for this particular space. And then I'll have those other locations so you can utilize this however you would like to in your advertising.
Perfect. I can't wait to share this with anybody who hasn't been able to listen today, and also on our other social media. I'll share this on LinkedIn, Instagram, all that good stuff. I'm excited.
That sounds wonderful. Well, everyone, thank you again for taking time out of your day to be with us live. This has been wonderful, and I will see you next week, same time, same location. Sex positively yours. Have a great day.